I am officially ditching my Tesla, and for the next week, I'm going all in on this, a 2025 Rivian R1S. I want to take this thing on-road, off-road, to see what it's like to live with, and with all this talk about people ditching their Teslas, maybe it's time that I went Team Rivian. Now that my week is just about over, I have got a lot of thoughts about Rivian versus Tesla in 2025, and I can honestly say I'm not going back, but maybe not in the way you're thinking. So let me break down the good and the bad about switching to Rivian in 2025 and everything you need to know in this video. Okay, so if you can come with me back to May of 2019, that is the month and year I took delivery of my very first EV and my very first Tesla. I was giddy, I was happy, and I was excited to make the switch, and I can say now, man, 6 years later almost, I have absolutely no regrets because this has been an amazing vehicle and really an amazing company. And ever since that original Tesla that I loved and I started making videos on YouTube, I went from the 3 to the Y to the X to the Cybertruck. I just love Tesla. I love the company. I love making videos about it and tracking all the changes. And when this opportunity to try a Rivian came up, I was really intrigued. For starters, I was just genuinely curious to see, how the other half lives, so to speak, if the grass is truly greener on the other side. But also, I was curious, as I'm sure many of you guys are, as a longtime Tesla owner and as someone who has really only driven Teslas and has lived in that world, what is the Rivian world like? For the money you're spending, and we'll get there in a minute because it ain't cheap, is it a better experience? Is it worse? Are there things that Rivian is doing better than Tesla? I was genuinely curious to see what it's like to own a Rivian versus a Tesla, so I gave up my Model X and my Cybertruck and all my Teslas for a week to go full in on the Rivian ecosystem, and like I said, boy oh boy, did I learn a lot. For starters, while there are definitely some similarities between Rivian and Tesla, there are some big differences, which started for me when I was just trying to decipher which model exactly I had as my media loaner. Because if you jump on the Tesla website, you can configure your car in a couple of clicks, not a ton of options. You're basically done in like 2 minutes. Whereas with Rivian, for better or worse, you've got lots of options in terms of trim level and battery pack and wheels and colors and extras and odds and ends. You can really dive in here and fine-tune a specific build that you really exactly want. And while there is sort of an equivalent with Tesla, there's an inventory of vehicles ready to go, and you can go through the custom order thing, and they're also direct-to-consumer. Thank you very much, Tesla, for leading the charge on that. You do get way more options right off the bat. So if you are someone who really wants to spend more time configuring your vehicle to exactly the spec you want from the delivery and doing less after the fact, that might be a point in Rivian's favor and something you might appreciate. I'll say, just from the get-go, it was a little much trying to navigate that website. And I'll throw up on screen the exact configuration of the model that I've got here for testing. And as you can see, my eyes immediately went to the price. This is not inexpensive. $111 is the MSRP price of this vehicle. And again, because I'm living in the Tesla world, I'm thinking, okay, the equivalent there, Model X Plaid, which is, I don't think it's that expensive, but it's up there in price, especially with the recent price increases. And then also the triple motor Cybertruck, the Cyber Beast, the best Cybertruck you can get is starting at $100,000. So we're now in like upper echelon Tesla EV territory here. So I was super, super curious to see exactly what you got for well over 6 figures in the world of Rivian. I know what Tesla gives you, and it has some good stuff and some bad stuff, but what's it like in RJ's world with Rivian? So let's start first with the outside and talk about design. Design language here, I think, is actually really well done. And I like that unlike some other companies, Rivian at least has their own design language and they're going all in on it and they're sticking with it. The Rivian R1S and R1T certainly look like Rivian vehicles. They've got very unique headlights with this sort of vertical horizontal mashup in the front that sort of looks like a face. They've got sort of a light bar in the back for the taillight section. And overall, while Tesla, like with the Model X, might lean more circular and like more like an oval or like a bean, Rivian is embracing the bold boxiness of a traditional big SUV, and that's where the R1S is. It doesn't feel like a big, boxy Lincoln Navigator or Escalator Expedition. It's a little bit sleeker than that, but it's still a pretty large vehicle that embraces more of the boxiness than the curves or the seamless sort of minimalism in terms of exterior design. Before we hop inside, a couple other things I want to mention about the exterior of the vehicle. For starters, not only do you have a pretty good size frunk, but take note, Tesla, a powered frunk, which you would expect for a car of this price, especially with this config over 6 figures. But even I feel like the Model Y and especially the X and the S should have a powered frunk, which you just don't get. Only Cybertruck is the only Tesla currently in the lineup that has a powered frunk. And then in terms of space, here's sort of the cargo area you're looking at. You've got a couple of built-in nets here for holding loose objects, and then even more room down here with some Rivian goodies built inside. So very, very good size frunk. And again, like I mentioned, having the ability to close it with the button, if I can find it again, which is hidden in the front right there, is just a really nice thing to see coming from a Tesla. Then on the back of R1S, probably one of my favorite features of the entire car is this like split back situation. So typically you would open up the back of the vehicle, you'd expect the whole thing to open up, but on the R1S, it sort of splits. So by default, it just opens up this part here, which I guess is sort of perfect for loading in groceries or boxes or whatever. Most of the time you don't need all the trunk space, or I guess all of the versatility of the back of the trunk. But if you do, you can press this button here. This is the manual part, and then now you've got the entire back of the vehicle open. And I know this seems like such a small thing, but I feel like most of the time, this is perfect. This is all you need, because you're not gonna have anything flying out of the back of the vehicle, not gonna have groceries and things going all crazy. You are all good, and when you're done, you just press the button, and then this top part goes like that. So sort of giving you that full trunk if you need it, but if not, I think the split approach is really nice. And since I'm already back here, just to show you, the amount of room you can get in this vehicle with all the seats down is pretty insane. So this is a 7-seat configuration, so I've got 2 chairs there, I've got a row right here, and then 2 additional seats in the back, and just by pressing these buttons here, I'm actually able to take down those seats right there. And now, as you can see, I've got a whole lot of room for hauling, which is really nice. Now, the Model X does do this if you go with the 7-seat configuration, but just, I've got to say, I'm not sure length for length what we're looking for here, but you've got a lot of space here to work with. Jumping into the inside is where things also get interesting, because in a lot of ways, it's very reminiscent to what Tesla pioneered. It's the big touchscreen that houses all your settings and controls, and there's not much in terms of physical dials and knobs, no air vent controls and things like that. It is all going to live for better or worse on the display. Now, similar to a Model X, this also has a driver's display, sort of a secondary display in the line of sight of the driver, though I'll come back to more in a moment why I'm not a huge fan of that. You've got dual displays in the front, you've got a small screen in the back for back passengers, and then this configuration here is a 3-row 7-seat config. So you've got 2 seats in the front, you've got a row of 3 in the back, and then you've got 2 more rear seats in the furthest back part of the vehicle, which is usable but probably geared towards smaller children, as there's not a whole lot of legroom back there. But I will say overall, interior is pretty comfortable. And again, this is one of those things that I really noticed is sort of maybe personal preference. Tesla really embraces minimalism and, lack of buttons and controls, and very simple and modern and sparse. Rivian is similar, but it's a little bit different based on your configuration. Like this one here had the wood trim configuration, which I'm usually not a huge fan of the wood trim. Like I gave Tesla a lot of flack for it because it made the Model Y look dated, but here Rivian is certainly embracing it, and I think it does look good. It does add a bit of elegance and class and maybe a premium flair to the inside of the R1S, and I think overall with the stitching and the seats and everything, it definitely feels like a premium vehicle. Now, I don't know if it has the features of a $111,000 car. There's no, massaging seats and things like that. Lucid probably does better in that category, but in terms of feeling like you're in a premium luxury SUV, it checks most of the boxes, though at times I felt like maybe it was a little too adventure-y for my taste. But again, that's personal preference. And as I do this comparison between Tesla and Rivian, I don't think I've explained why I even have this Rivian in my driveway, and the reason for that is actually super special and sort of a little exclusive for you guys, and that is that I am working on a special project with my friends over at Recurrent. They are the masters of battery chemistry and battery technology and helping you really understand what's going on in that mythical black box that is the battery inside of your EV, and I'm actually working with them on a bit of a cool project, a 2025 buyer's guide, testing and sort of giving some insights on some all-new EVs. So this Rivian vehicle is one in the lineup, and you guys will be seeing it soon on Recurrent's channel. So I'll put that link down below. Subscribe if you haven't already. For those who might not be regulars around here, if you haven't heard of Recurrent before, let me fill you in. The team is dedicated to giving you amazing tools and resources for every part of your EV ownership experience. If you're an EV owner like I am, you can sign up for their totally free monthly battery report and get amazing insights delivered to your inbox every single month that breaks down the most important info you need to know in a very simple and easy to understand way. See how temperature is going to help or hurt your real world range. See how your charging habits could be helping or hurting the life of your battery, and so much more. Again, totally free, delivered to your inbox every single month. If you're looking to buy your first EV, of course, be sure to stay tuned for those videos. But also there, of course, are some amazing resources on the Recurrent website right now you should check out. And then also if you're looking to sell your EV, Recurrent is going to help you get the most out of your EV sale by connecting you with dealers who really understand the value and the potential premium a healthy EV battery could fetch when it comes time to sell a vehicle. They've got amazing resources here to help you with every step of your EV ownership journey, whether you're looking to buy, sell, and also just maximize the one you've got in your driveway. So if you want to learn more, check out all the amazing free resources and tools that Recurrent has got to offer. I'll put a link down below. And again, stay tuned as I review and partner with them on some really cool 2025 EVs. We've got Teslas, we've got Rivians, we've got Lucids, we've got some other mysteries. I'll just keep it at that. Some surprises that are going to be very, very cool to see. So be sure to check all that stuff out at the link down below and sign up for that totally free monthly battery report for yourself right now. Another thing Rivian is going to have are not one, but two stocks loaded with all the controls you could want. From lights to wipers to turn indicators to your park, drive, reverse, all that stuff to their cruise control system. All of that is living on the side of your regular round steering wheel within hand's reach. Now, in a similar fashion to Tesla, you've got basically like two scroll wheel button areas here for controlling music and what you'd expect. That's all actually very similar and reminiscent to Tesla, but as Tesla moves away from stocks, they're going all in on the Rivian side here. So if you're a fan of stocks, you'll definitely have that more traditional at-home feeling here with the Rivian. Now, I'll tell you, one of my absolute favorite features of the Rivian, this is where Tesla could certainly, I hope, steal this feature because it's great and I think they can outdo it, is the 360-degree top-down view system. Not only, let me record here on my phone to show you, not only do you have an abundance of cameras around the vehicle that I wish they'd let you sort of swap to manually, but I guess you can't do that, or I guess you get to see the front and the rear. Oh, okay. Oh, well, okay, so I guess they've got this weird side view thing. Anyways, this though is the secret sauce here, this 360-degree bird's eye view, because what this allows me to do is easily see where I'm going to park. And you can see I've got like this weird patch in my house that's like a little crooked. And while I could easily, of course, use, you know, the front camera and I could toggle the front view and the back view and stuff like that, having this top-down camera here is so incredibly helpful for all around parking, whether you're parking in tight spaces, whether you're parking just in your own driveway. I love this 360-degree top-down view. I wish Tesla would steal this ASAP. By far one of the smallest, but favorite things I've absolutely loved about this vehicle. Now what I should probably do is jump onto the road here and talk about the driving experience in the R1S, because on one hand, I feel like Rivian is doing a whole lot right here, and in a lot of ways, I feel like actually a lot of you Tesla fans might actually prefer this system. Specifically, Rivian does give a lot more customization and control over a lot of the different driving dynamics. Not only, I should say, do they give you this really cool screen that shows you all of this real-time info all of you can nerd out about and geek out about, which is really cool, but they allow you to sort of adjust the level of regen braking, for example, and you can really get into the specifics and fine-tune the driving experience to find what is best for you. That is super cool, and overall, the driving experience is really nice. Road noise, I'll give you a listen for a moment. Going about 40 miles per hour, pretty low. Overall suspension feels good. The ride is smooth. The seat is comfortable. Like, the overall driving experience in this car is really, really good. I would have no issues, no qualms whatsoever taking this on a road trip. My butt would be very comfortable in this seat for hours and hours. And overall, again, I think the driving experience is really good, though I do have a couple of weird quirks. One of the weird things I've noticed is, especially in the sport mode, when you're going to lower the suspension and really try to get as much performance as you can out of the vehicle, it felt very rigid. Like, it felt more like I felt every little bump and dip in the road in that performance mode, which is expected, but definitely more than I was used to just in the Tesla in the same sort of performance setting mode. And my wife also echoed these feelings, just saying overall in general, the Tesla suspension, definitely when trying to account for comfort, felt much more smooth and much more comfortable than even the best fine-tuning I could do here in the Rivian. This definitely feels, it's comfortable, but I think that the suspension, especially, or I should say specifically, the active air suspension in the Model X and especially on Cybertruck, just do a phenomenal job. So that leaves a little to be desired here with the overall driving experience. So I will say, overall cabin noise, comfort, visibility here with the front and the back, all of that is good. You've got your stalks, obviously, and then you've got your wheel. Though I do have a couple of quirks, speaking of the wheel, I should point out. One of the things that really bugs me is that while there is a secondary display on the vehicle, which is nice, I've got right behind the wheel here, and I can see battery percentage, I can see speedometer, I can see the mode of the vehicle, little map info, all that stuff. That's great, but I don't understand why, if a auto manufacturer builds the vehicle with that screen in mind, and they build it for the, wheel in mind, why you're missing a good chunk of the screen that is sort of cut out of your immediate visibility with the wheel. And I know you could sort of try to adjust it and account for it, but there's really nothing you can do. Really, the only solution for this is, say what you will about the yoke, but Tesla's got a solution with the yoke, which is a half steering wheel, which gives you full visibility of that secondary screen. I talked about stocks. You've got your full stocks here for all your turning and gear switching needs. So I know for many of you guys, that's going to be a really nice thing. As you can see here, I'll throw it up again for a moment. You've got your blind spot cameras. A lot of Tesla similarities here. There's a gear guard, which is a Sentry mode equivalent feature. And again, overall, regen braking, one pedal driving, all of that is extremely well done. Another note I will say on the software side is that while I do have to give Rivian some props for coming up with their own software solution and not relying on the crutch of Android Auto and Apple CarPlay that other automakers do, it leaves a lot to be desired. Just to spend another moment here on software, I want to be clear, it's not horrible, like, it's not bad, but it just, especially coming from a Tesla, feels very clunky. The map interface here is just not my cup of tea. The satellite imagery looks weird. The buttons look weird. The worst offender for me is this HVAC control center, which just so much going on here that, again, at least for me, my opinion here, my week driving this vehicle, it was just a little overwhelming trying to address anything while I was driving. So this was just a little too much going on for me when it came to just trying to do climate control things. Media, you've got Apple Music support, you've got Spotify, you've got Audible, you've got Bluetooth. All of that is well and good, I think, with satellite radio as well. You've got charging info here. Of course, there's a smart app. You've got some cool dash material here for some other things. I mean, the software is nice, and there's some things that this can do that the Tesla can't. Like, you've got, I think, the ability to do a hotspot from the vehicle, so you can have passengers connect and share the data this car has if you pay for the Rivian Premium whatever thing. Garage door functionality. You've got quick controls up here. It's not horrible and it's not bad, but just coming from Tesla, say what you will about Tesla software, but this just feels a little clunky and cumbersome to me. But I'm sure you'd get used to it. I'm just not a huge fan. Also, of course, while Rivian is working on their own sort of AP FSD equivalents, there is no full self-driving in this car. And I will say, as I've really begun to test full self-driving in my Teslas more and really trying out all the advancements, it is something I sort of missed. And I think that the use case for FSD and the relevance of it in your life is going to be a much bigger determining factor on whether or not you would even consider a Rivian, let alone any non-Tesla vehicle. But I will say, you know, the highway assistance and stuff is nice, but not having a full FSD equivalent was a little sad and something I did miss. So no FSD in this vehicle, obviously, so you kind of have to know that going into it. I think if you're regularly a rear passenger, there is a lot to like about the back of the R1S. One, I've noticed, is the incline on the seat is pretty crazy. You can really throw this thing back and get some more space. Though I will say in my driving seated position, I don't have a ton of legroom here, but it's okay. It feels a little cramped. I feel like I have more in the X, but it's not too bad. You do have a screen back here if you're a back passenger, but it's not going to be as full featured as Tesla's solution. You can do the hotspot thing. You can control lights, Bluetooth, all that, but no watching movies or playing games. So there's a point in the direction of Tesla if you've got kids who use the rear screen. You've got your traditional vents back here, USB-C. Also USB-C built in up here, and I think this is like a tablet holder, so you could stick the tablet in and charge it and do all that from the back. This definitely makes it feel very spacious, and I've got plenty of headroom. Really not a lot of complaints in the back of the R1S. Again, I've got lots of headroom here. It makes it feel very spacious, and yeah, I do. I mean, personally, I'm a fan of the captain's chairs in my Model X Plaid. Just having that extra space is nice, but I've got to say, with this configuration, the bench back here, I think with 3 people wouldn't be horrible. 2 people would be great for like a road trip, so you'd have a little bit more space. And then even some seats back there you could fold down or put up if you needed that extra room. But not a lot of complaints in the back of the car. It's nice. And if you're curious for what the nighttime view looks like, you've got, of course, some RGB lighting in the interior. Extends to the back as well. Nice bright lighting, and then also standard, which you can option on a Tesla, of course, are some puddle lights that are standard here on the R1S, which is kind of cool. Overall fit, finish, build quality, ride comfort, all that, pretty well done. And I've got to say, it was an overall very comfortable experience. I will say my wife, who is now the daily driver of the Model X, she vastly prefers the look of the R1S. She says that she would trade the Model X in for a heartbeat for this configuration of the R1S, though she said she would miss the Falcon Wing doors and some of the software stuff. She does think that the overall look and aesthetic and functionality is something that would suit her better. Wouldn't be my choice, but that is certainly her decision and something she definitely would want to do. And I do think if I could use one term to describe my experience with the R1S, it would definitely be versatile. Like, I love the split, way that the back opens. I love how easy it is to put all the seats down. I love how much cargo room you've got. You definitely have comfortable seats and you've got lots of options. It's almost, to me, and I know this is a weird analogy to make, but I'll make it for those who understand. It's like an iPhone and an Android. iPhone is like Apple knows what's best. They're going to tell you what's best, and this is what you're going to do for better or worse. That's sort of Tesla. This is what you get for better or worse, and you're going to like it or not, and that's it. This is the experience you get if you go our way. Rivian is kind of more like Android, where it's more customizable, and you can adjust the regen braking, and you can go in there and adjust things, but at times it can feel a little clunky and kludgy and a little beta. It feels a little bit more like you're delving into a bit of a startup experience than something a little bit more well-refined. And I know it's a little, hypocritical to call Tesla, more like a legacy automaker or more refined, but I do think in terms of software and hardware, at least compared to Rivian, they are the more experienced company here in this arena, and I think that does show in some major ways. Again, I just think the overall, in my experience, in my opinion, the ride quality with the suspension, the technology, all that, I think Tesla does better, though I think in terms of feeling more luxurious and versatile, Rivian does have a lot to like. All right, so let's get into the big question here and wrap this up. Am I now convinced that I should be switching away from my Teslas, selling everything, and only going all in on the R1S and the R1T and adopting the Rivian platform? No. I'm not convinced. I'll say that I really enjoyed my time with the Rivian for a week. I liked testing out the software. I liked experiencing sort of what the Rivian ecosystem had to offer. And it was fun to try something new, but also still have a lot of the nice benefits that a premium EV has to offer. Though with that said, I feel like Tesla for me definitely spoils me in some certain ways that are important to me. The big one for me is technology. I'm a tech head. I love the cutting edge tech. I love trying out the latest full self-driving and getting all the software updates and all that stuff. Rivian compete in that arena. Tesla is just dominating with FSD. They're dominating with the software updates. And that to me is a reason enough alone that I would stick with the Tesla ecosystem, just because I super value the tech and all the software updates and all the stuff ASAP, like the breakneck speed that stuff changes. And Tesla is doing that, in my opinion, more than Rivian is. While it was fun to switch to Rivian, I currently have zero desire to make the switch over to Rivian full time. And it was fun. I like the vehicle, but I will happily go back to driving my Teslas, and no regrets on my end having a Tesla-only garage. I also want to take a moment here to shout out some of my favorite companies in the Tesla space, companies really doing a lot to enhance your ownership experience. And for me, one of my favorite companies is my friends over at Drive Protected. They are your number one source, the place to go for DIY PPF. They've got expertly crafted pre-cut kits for all parts of your Tesla, even if you just want to do the hood, or you want to do the fender or the bumper, or if you want complete frunk to trunk protection, they've got you covered. You can save thousands and thousands of dollars doing the install yourself, and I am proof. My wife and I, my gracious wife helped me, we wrapped my Cybertruck in their beautiful satin black Defense Plus PPF kit, totally transformed this Cybertruck. I now have all of the sort of benefits of PPF, plus I've got an all new look for the Cybertruck that looks amazing. Drive Protected has got options for every single Tesla out there. Again, really great price, really great high quality materials here with the film, and of course they've got some amazing cleaning supplies as well. Just if you don't want to do PPF and just keep your Tesla in tip-top shape, they are the resource you've got to go to. Again, I love Drive Protected, love what they've got to offer. I got a discount code for you too, link down below. But if you're looking to get PPF for your Tesla, you want to save some money, do it yourself, and really just get the best on the market, in my opinion, check out Drive Protected. They'll help you through the entire process, even if you're a beginner like me, at the link down below. I also want to give a big thanks to one of my favorite Tesla little add-ons, integrations, apps, your best Tesla partner, and that is Century Pro. Look, as Tesla owners, we always want to know what is going on with our vehicle, and if Century Mode notices something, I think that you and I want to also be alerted at the same time. That is the beauty of Century Pro. You are alerted whenever Century Mode goes off. You don't have to wait for a notification that may or may not come from Tesla. Super easy to get this all set up. Uses all the secure Tesla APIs, going to work on any single Tesla model and also all of your Teslas if you've got multiple. Check it out for yourself today and try it for free at the link down below, available on both iOS and Android. All right, guys, so I'm curious. I really want to know what your thoughts are on this. Definitely a bit of a different video that I haven't done before, and I'm curious for you guys if you've looked at outside of the Tesla family at Rivian or Lucid or other automakers. What vehicle has tempted you to switch? And what are your thoughts on Rivian? Would you get an R1S or an R1T? I know we're looking at, much more expensive pricing. Obviously, there's going to be the R2 and the R3, but for now, this is what it is. What are your thoughts on the Rivian? Please drop a comment down below and let me know. And if you guys stayed at the very end of the video and you want to win some Amazon money, three simple things you got to do as always. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment down below, and put somewhere in your comment the word orange. It could be at the end. You could just sort of stick it at the end. You can work it somewhere in there. Just put that orange catchphrase in there so I know you say it at the end. I guess in honor of Rivian, we'll go with orange, and I'll give away some free Amazon money as a thank you. So thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you all. You guys are amazing. Thank you all so much. I'm Robert Rosenfeld, and I'll see you in the next one.